Hello everyone! This is part 2 of my analysis of the 26th episode of Skibidi Toilet Multiverse from Dom Studio. And today I'm going to answer all the remaining questions from part 1 and find all the secrets and Easter eggs that you might not have noticed, as well as build some theories. Does the Skibidi scientist actually want to betray and overthrow the Alpha from her throne? Where did the Drillman assassin originally come from? And why are G-Man, me, Elite Clockman, and Moby all acting together? Get your tea and snacks ready and prepare to watch this video to the end not to miss anything important. Let's go! Last time I finished my analysis on the fact of the appearance of the assassin Drillman, and now I would like to elaborate on him a little bit. As I said in the first part of my analysis, the emblem on his back is a symbol of Zoroastrianism, one of the oldest religions in the world, which roots can be found in Iran, where the creators of this series are actually from. And I think that this character is a clear reference to a real-life assassin formation, whose headquarters were located in Alamut Castle, which is also located in Iran. However, you must have noticed, though, that his appearance is probably taken from the game series called Assassin's Creed, where these guys always wore those similarly looking hooded cloaks and carried a lot of edged weapons. And now, when he lands on the ground, you can see a television cube on his belt. Exactly the same one that could have been found on the Titan TV man's body. But it's a little smaller this time. And one of its faces is in a different position than the others are in, which confirms my initial assumption that the process of the cube's activation starts when the last face gets rotated into the right position. There are also several throwing knives on his chest, but in this episode, unfortunately, we will not see them in use for their intended purpose. On both of his hands, there are mechanisms that could be seen, and they push the drills being hidden inside. The mechanism on his left hand extends one large drill, which he often uses in order to block punches, and two small drills extend on his left hand. So, the gates behind which were the Skibidi had previously been captured in there, finally stopped withstanding their continuous onslaught, and a small squad of Skibidi mutants comes out to the agents, and just look at their extremely strange behavior, as well as their rather strange facial expressions. The Skibidi mutants that we met earlier weren't actually like that, even despite the presence of their glowing eyes, but these look like some kind of zombies or similar to it. And when they broke through, the Drillman assassin took out his TV cube and gave it to 3 agents so they could escape from this nightmare, which is exactly what they are doing at the moment. And do you guys remember how in the first part I raised the question that this guy in the orange shirt didn't really want to help his comrades based on his behavior? Earlier, we saw at least one Drillman who managed to survive after the helicopter explosion, and I'm pretty sure that he was definitely able to crawl out of the burning helicopter. And he could not be finished off by the Skibidi who could be found outside of this location, because 2 small toilets were destroyed by the plunger cameraman, and the big Cyclops was too busy trying to break into the tunnel until the Drillman assassin arrived to help. And just as soon as the gates got finally opened, this traitor seemed to immediately forget about his bro who stayed outside, and took off to the base with the help of the TV cube. And he didn't even bother to check whether he survived or not. Although earlier this orange Drillman knew for sure that at least one of his friends managed to get out of the burning wreckage. And honestly, I don't really understand why he did that, because there were obviously no more threats outside. And after that, I've lost just a ton of respect for him. But anyway, let's move on. When the 3 agents who joined their hands got out of this place, the Drillman assassin stayed all alone, eye to an eye with the Skibidi zombies, although they don't really look particularly dangerous. All of them have circular saws on their right hands, but some of them have learned to pick up spears and fight with them too. And there is no wonder that this Drillman was able to defeat all of them, because his melee skills are on some kind of limitless level of savageness, and most likely no Skibidi can be compared to him, because he alone was able to put down even this huge Skibidi Cyclops, who managed to catch an extremely high-speed flying toilet belonging to the plunger cameraman. The only thing I didn't really understand in here was the location where that Skibidi toilet with the glowing eyes had gone to. You could notice him in the hole in the gate, where the mutants were coming out of. Apparently, after he had watched the elimination of the mutant Skibidi, he decided not to take part in the fight, and went to brag to the Alpha about the Drillman's arm that he got from the battlefield. After the Drillman goes outside, there's a terrible earthquake that was caused by the Titan Drillman. And from what's going on there, it seems like the events of this episode were happening in parallel with the events of episode 25. And as the camera zooms in on the Skibidi that's holding Drillwoman in the cage, you can see a lot of explosive charges that will detonate as soon as the Skibidi gets damaged. And that's what I was talking about in the analysis of this episode, when I had mentioned why the Titan couldn't just destroy the toilets. And right after the end of this meeting, not far from the assassin, the TV man appears, who brought a gift in his hands with him. And this gift turned out to be a sword, which Drillman immediately takes away, and I'm 1,000,000% sure that this is an extremely unordinary sword, but we can only find out about it in the next episode or in one of the leaks that will follow. And right after the sword is being handed over, we are getting transported to another place. And it also matches what I had been predicting in one of my previous videos. We once again are getting an opportunity to observe everything that happens around through the eyes of the POV from episode 19. And he continues a tradition of starting the whole thing by showing how cool he is at twisting the pen in his hands. But this time, he puts the pen in a special device on his right hand, and then he becomes invisible, if you will trust the sign which says Mode Invisible. But you can actually see how that this guy was transparent even before he put the pen in the device. It may be quite possible that he originally spilled some ink on himself, which made him invisible. And it seems to be most likely to me that this method of disguise actually lasts less than 10 minutes. But in that case, this pen looks like the key for activating his device, and not the source of the invisible ink. And yes, it makes a lot of sense actually to make a device that starts beeping loudly when you activate invisibility mode, so that all the enemies around you would know that you're around. But thank God the Skibidi mutant who walked by didn't hear it. I think that this dude should take off his headphones at least at the base, because he is not in any danger when patrolling the corridors. But only one Skibidi mutant from the 20th episode guessed it. By the way, have you noticed that despite the cameraman's invisibility, he can be seen in the reflection? As the POV continues to keep moving, it becomes pretty clear that he has infiltrated the base where the Skibidi hackers could be detected. But I wouldn't rule out the possibility that they are at the same base which we had previously seen in episode 20. So, our spy apparently had some trouble connected with getting into the anonymous room, and I'm extremely curious to know how exactly he will manage to get out of this unsettling place. I mean, I wouldn't assume that he's just going to wait for those toilets to get hungry once again and go grab another batch of fast food or something like that, considering how he should have about only 9 minutes left. Anyway, I think that this guy knows what he's doing pretty well, and he goes into the next room literally filled to the brim with a lot of lockers. But right in the center, there is a brand new locker with code locks, and next to it is a Skibidi toilet. And as he leaves, he obviously doesn't close the locker, so we can see what's being stored in there. And here we have an opportunity to take an interested look at the very intriguing document, on which cover you can see the written sign that goes like G-Man Apocalypse. Although it differs a bit from those folders that we have seen on other Skibidi bases, and also pay your attention how it does not contain a sign of Skibidi on it. However, you can notice that it looks like as if they wanted to cover something that had been written here before, with this inscription, and perhaps the plans of that one person who was responsible for owning these documents have somewhat changed, so he renamed this folder. In any case, it can be said for sure that G-Man is somehow involved in all of this, and it seems to be most likely that me, Elite Clockman, and Moby are also being dragged into this mess. And I have already mentioned our connection with G-Man back in my analysis of the 13th episode, based on the fact that when we appear and when you pick up the document, music starts playing. During which in the original Half-Life game you can see G-Man on TV. So it's the most plausible variant that we act together. In addition to that, you can also see some words on this folder, and if you add them up, then you get the phrase that goes like, "Scientist to end Commander." And I have some thoughts on this matter, which I will share with you guys right now. As we know, the Skibidi scientist was in charge of the toilets until recently, and given this fact that at some point in the series, the alpha figure appeared who bullied the scientist away in episode 20. So we can assume that she is now the chief commander over him, and it may be pretty much plausible as well, that this set of words is a special message, which tells us of the fact that the Skibidi scientist is being really eager to finish her off. But I don't think that this plan will be so easy to implement in here, and seems to be quite likely that in the near future, we're about to see a split in the ranks of the Skibidi, because among the Skibidi, there are also those who are pretty dissatisfied with the scientist. At least these Skibidi mutants do not really respect him. And what do you think about that, my friends? Write in the comments below your own opinions and theories on that matter, and be sure to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss my new videos. And that was me, ISO Toilet. See ya!